Caribbean is often described as the most tourism-dependent region in the world. A titan is described as one that stands out for greatness of achievement, one who is influential in his field. I'm Marline Stephenson Dalley. Welcome to our podcast. We call it Jamaica's Tourism Titans. It's about the movers and shakers of the industry, men and women who have contributed to its growth and development in Jamaica, the region, and indeed the world. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to Jamaica's Tourism Titans. And our special guest today is someone who started life as a taxi driver and followed his dream to success. He has won many awards in his life, and he continues to contribute to this important industry, tourism, here in Jamaica. My guest is the Honorable Glen Bromfield, OD, founder of Juta, and so much more. Mr. Bromfield, it's so good to have you. How are you?
I'm very good.
I want for us to meet Glen Bromfield and have a better understanding of who this Jamaican is. So we want to start at the beginning. Tell me a little bit about where you're from and your upbringing.
Well, I'm from rural Jamaica, St. Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm. What part of St. Elizabeth?
We're Barton, St. Elizabeth, northern south of St. Elizabeth. But St. Elizabeth in general is my... Whenever I heard the name St. Elizabeth, I speak very clear and precise on St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
And one of the things that makes me proud of St. Elizabeth, we have never been dubbed SOE. We have never been under. We are a parish, and the parish doesn't represent the SOE. We don't need the SOE there.
Okay.
And so therefore we are proud of that
Yes.
pattern.
Now, tell me about your family. You grew up with mother, father. Tell me a little bit about your early life.
I have a great Glenford. Yes, Mama, come for your dinner. I never forget that one. And that is Mama. Yes, Glenford, yes, Mama, come for your dinner. And one of the things that I've always been proud of is, Teacher's Cottage, where the teacher lives.
Yes.
I was one student going to Newton School who generally spends some time over by Teacher's Cottage. And so we always sit on the veranda showing off yourself that you can go to the Teacher's Cottage and be there. And that was form part of my whole beginning, because
Yes.
to go to the Teacher's Cottage and be over Teacher's Cottage where you can sit with the teacher and be there with him, with her. It was Miss Spence, Teacher Spence. It's an achievement, and showing off yourself and make yourself being comfortable in rural Jamaica. It was exciting.
What about your siblings? Did you have
they are great.
brothers and
They are
sisters?
great.
How many? How many did you have?
9 kids, and they all had done well. They went to good schooling. They, doctors and lawyers and business people, and they have done well. They went to good school.
What about
I believe
your own
strongly in
schooling?
education,
But what about your own schooling?
My own?
Your own schooling. How did you do? How did you fare?
Well, I'm a 4-H clubite. That's great, because I won the scholarship in Denby for handling and servicing of tractors. My own schooling is wonderful. I always be a head boy. I always come first in my class. Jamaica, 3rd year, 2nd year, and 1st year, I wasn't successful in the 3rd, so I just move on in handling and servicing of tractors and agriculture. And it behoves me I weren't able to go to, say, London, because the fare in those days to go to England, London was an achievement, and you have to have the money, and so on and so on and so forth. So I didn't make that stop me from moving on. So
moving on meant you came into Kingston? Or?
Yes, I came into Kingston.
All right, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I
journey.
came into Kingston to have a driver's license. To get a driver's license in those days was not as easy as it is perhaps today. You have to, and when I did the first test at Spanish Town Road. That's where the
depot was.
The depot was, yes. I knocked the drum. In reversing, I knocked the drum. So
So you failed?
I failed the test. And so heaven declared the glory of God, you know. And I said, okay, good. So I had a friend over in Portland. Portland?
Yes.
And I called him, Las Louis, he's now passed on. And I told him that I stopped the drum, and he said, come over to Portland. And I went over to Portland, and I spent a month with him.
Yes.
And I do some more tests, and I passed my driving test.
All right.
And then I said, well, this is it now. I have achieved. I had something that I can go by. And so therefore, that kind of experience, really, I move on from that experience to date.
So you passed your driving test,
Yes.
which now put you in a position to become a driver.
A driver, yes.
Yes, so
yes.
tell me, because I know...
Well, I like self-employment, you see. That's the order of the day.
Yes.
To be self-employed is useful. And some of the things that is happening in today's world, a number of our youngsters in today's world, they go for the PhDs and the various university tests and so on and so forth. And so I don't have any problem with that. But the business was the order of the day as far as I'm concerned. And land ownership was very useful, and it remains very useful today. If I have to speak public matters relating to, how you develop and support,
Yeah.
I would say buy land.
Yes.
Because when you buy land and have land can't rotten. The more leaves drop on it, the more get fat.
The more what? Say that again?
More leaves drop on the land that
Yes.
you have, the more it get fat. So it is easy.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one
You know,
before.
well,
The more leaves fall on the land, is the fatter it
The
gets.
more leaves, 3 leaves
Yes,
drop on the
yes,
land,
yes.
is the more it gets fat. So land can't rotten. So buy land.
Yes.
It's like what is happening over in Portland now. I suggest that the way to invest is invest in the parish of Portland, Port Antonio. You have money coming through your ears. Bingo.
All right. So
Buy land in Portland is the order of the day.
yes, Portland is such a beautiful parish. It is
Tell me about it.
absolutely
It is
breathtaking.
It is going to be a challenge. It is going to be a challenge between, don't say Montego Bay, Montego Bay, Ocho Rios, and Negril, Hanover,
so all those places need to watch out. Portland is coming.
So you better look out, because Portland is coming. And if you have money, anything that you have, I would suggest, near money, go to Port Antonio and buy land, Portland and buy land, Manchonil, you name it, Buff Bay, Hope Bay,
Yes.
buy land, and it's better to buy land than put money into the bank.
Yes, I agree. Let's talk a little bit about your first job, because you talk about being self-employed and how important that is. So you went into a taxi business. Tell us about
because that was a way of earning your own. And in those days, you have to have a meter in your taxis.
Yes.
It was meter taxi. It's not like the taxis that they have now.
And you were taking people around the island, tourists and so on?
Yes. That was a part of it. We were able to go to Norman Manley International Airport and move people from that airport all around Jamaica. But the JUTA thing was formed. We were asked to form that JUTA, an organization.
Yes.
And we found it right across the island, and I was the president for it for the first 10 years in my life.
Right.
So we...
And for those persons who are wondering, JUTA, we all know it as JUTA, but it's the Jamaica Union of Travelers Association
Yes.
Limited, and you would have been one of the founding members and
yes,
its
correct,
first president.
Correct. If you notice, we say Travelers Association,
Yes.
because that there's a mentality given to the word taxi. So I coined that one out, Travelers Association, and it lends itself to international travelers as well. And therefore, it's the Jamaica Union of Travelers Association, JUTA, registered as such, Jamaica Union of Travelers Association. It works.
Yes. Now, tell me, what were those early days like for JUTA? JUTA has expanded, and you have chapters all across the country now, and many, many members who are part of the base of our transportation sector, especially in the tourism industry. What were those early days like?
Well, first and foremost, we did have Martin's travel tours.
Yes.
Martin's, that
Yes,
long day.
I remember Martin's.
You remember Martin's?
Yes, I do.
Well, tell me that. We had Martin's travel tours. And then what would happen was 4 chapters: Kingston, Ocho Montego Bay, and the Negril. And so therefore, being president of JUTA, I was able to take it across to Port Antonio and take it to Mandeville and take it down into Westmoreland, Negril area, Hanover. And therefore, it lends itself. And I'm very proud of JUTA. I speak very strongly about JUTA because of its behavioral pattern. We were never caught into any kind of, something that can be headlined, other than we have served the people well. People first and people foremost. So I'm proud of JUTA. I stand supreme and where they come to JUTA. When I hear anything named JUTA, I stop what I'm doing and lend my ears to it. And I can tell you this about JUTA. I bought a piece of land on Lady Musgrave Road for a 1 1/4 acre of land on Lady Musgrave Road for JUTA for $49,000.
Those days, $49,000 was not easy to come by.
No, it
so
wasn't.
I mean, I chuckle, but
it wasn't plenty.
It was not. But it wasn't. It wasn't what $49,000 is now.
No, it wasn't plenty. The foresight of buying land on Lady Musgrave Road was important. Like we are talking about Port Antonio now, Portland, and we see now a vision that to buy land is very important. Very, very important. So land was selling then because of in the 70s era.
Yes.
Where that 70s where people were, I would say,
moving out.
Yes. And I would say they're stupid. Because one of the things that happened then, whatever was taking place, they didn't take away my vote. So the land was giving away.
Yes.
And therefore.
And you bought the land for JUTA.
Yes, I bought a piece of land for JUTA.
Yes.
They have lost it now. Lost it meaning that they sold it for little or nothing because the organization ran into some kind of problem,
yes.
And so they hastened to sell it, and I'm disappointed in that. But they bought another piece of place, the Kingston Tract I'm dealing with. They bought another piece of place down by number 4 Lady Musgrave Road, which is maybe 2.5 square. Comparing to
what you
1
had then.
1/4 acres. I also bought, this may be interesting for your understanding, those days of JUTA, being president of JUTA, I worked very closely with the Matalans. So I went down to the Matalans office, Mr. Vernon Matalan.
Yes.
And I said to him, Mr. Matalan, I need some money. And he said to me, Bromfield, what the hell you coming to me with now? I said, well, it's not what the hell I'm coming to you now, Mr. Motherland. I'm coming to you what the heaven I'm coming to you with now. And he said, oh, what is it? I said, well, I saw a piece of land on Lady Musgrave Road, which is 58.5 Lady Musgrave Road, and I would like to buy it for the use of children. I said, oh, for education? I said, yes, and for health. And he said, oh, okay. And he called his secretary. He said, come here, write a check for $50,000. For me and give it to Bromfield. And she wrote the check, and I bought 58.5 Lady Musgrave Road with that gift. And it is there, the Glen Bromfield Resource Center. It is on Lady Musgrave Road. Drive on Lady Musgrave Road and you'll see the sign there.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about the Glen Vincent Bromfield Resource Center, because I know it's a gift that you have through your own passion and passion for education.
For education.
Would have given.
It was for health care but we couldn't handle it. We couldn't deal with it because it was like for children, convalescent children.
Yes.
And we couldn't handle it, and therefore we had to change. I built the home that is on there. Personally, I borrowed the money and built the home that is there now. And it is in trust.
Why? Why did you do this?
A passion.
Yes.
I see that as useful. You have to give to get. And people have to note. And education, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Yes. You'll find how it is important for inner city, inner community to be able to, see, and you went back to school I have a passion for back to school. And there were those who considered that if gift given to me, the money given to me by Mr. Vernon Matalon,
Yes.
was to be shared up among people. And they took it to the court. And yes, this is what I'm going to tell you the result of what happened. They took it to the court, and they said, well, he got the money to be shared up among us, and he took it and buy this place. And the judge said, okay, for education, he says. And the judge said, okay, you know something? I won't be able to try this case now, as you gentlemen, but come back 5 years, and he hope that the money will be going into the endowment fund.
Yes, and it will be well spent.
And they said, when they come out, they said, no, we're not going back. We're not going back. The judge said, endowment fund. It's the first time I heard the name, endowment fund.
And it stands as a
And
testimony
it is trust.
today.
It cannot be sold.
Yes.
There no anyone sold. Pass on, it is not to be sold. It is for education
Wonderful.
and back to school situation.
Mr. Bromfield, I am really delighted to have you. When we come back, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we want to talk a little bit about Medallion Hall. I want you to be thinking to respond to us in terms of how did it get its name? How did that come about? How did you manage to own a small hotel in Kingston City, in the heart of the city? And it has been going on for years and doing well. And, you have to give us a little insight into the secret. So we take a break from Jamaica's Tourism Titans. We'll be right back.
In tourism, the people are the product. Yes, they are one of our industry's most important assets. They help create memorable lifetime experiences. They, through their service, make the difference. We share the stories of their challenges and triumphs, of what makes them tick, of who they really are, just to inspire you to act positively. You too can be an ambassador for tourism and our country and become a Jamaican tourism titan. Start today.
TPDCO's Explore Jamaica has insights into licensed tourism entities across Jamaica. Visit the Google or Apple Play Store and download the app today.
Welcome back to Jamaica's Tourism Titans. My special guest is the Honourable Glen Bromfield, founder of JUTA, gentleman who has achieved the Prime Minister's Medal of Achievement, the Golden Tourism Award in 2022, Governor General's Award for Excellence, and the National Honour, Order of Distinction, Officer Class. He is also quick to tell me that he is a 4-H clubite, which means that 4-H would have had quite an impact on him.
Yeah, Denby.
Yes. What was that impact? Tell me.
It lends itself to young people in those days because you have to compete, and then at the end of a particular season of the year, we all go on to Denby in Clarendon, the Denby thing
agricultural
there.
show.
And we for the weekend we carry on, and it is exciting. It was exciting.
Yes.
And it will remain a part of my whole development.
Yes.
4-H Club, head, hand, heart, and health.
Yes. Now, just before we took the break, you were talking to us a little bit about the resource center, which you were able to establish at 58.5 Lady Musgrave Road, and you credited the Matalon Group of Company for helping you as a contributor to that major resource center.
So, yes.
But in keeping with that, you have also registered a particular statement. You know, people say from rags to riches, but that didn't sit well with you. So you have from straw to strawberry.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, from straw to strawberry, I coined that one out, yes, from straw to strawberry, some people from rags to riches. I was never in rags. My parents do see that I was well taken care of. In those days, naturally, young people and everybody used to be well put together, we call it. Put together is a way of dressing, going to school and so on and so forth. So I say from straw to strawberry. I was meaning from rags to riches. That's what they call it. I was never in rags. neither am I rich.
Yes.
You can find out what from straw to strawberry, registered what it means. Think that for yourself.
Yes.
And then you will understand from straw to strawberry. I'm not going to say what it means. You determine that for yourself.
All right. Well, tell me now a little bit about Medallion Hall. How did it get its name? And is that something you dreamt of doing? How did you get there?
Well, land that I always is my, way of encouraging people to buy land. Medallion Hall was for sale, but it was a residential lot. It was a residential lot, so I had to apply to the council, Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, for change of use. So they came the Wednesday to look at it, and they said to me, well, it is resident. So I said, okay. So what resident mean? People live there? They said, yes, no problem with that.
Yes.
So I can have my tenant here? They said, yes. I said, oh, I see. So you have to provide for your tenant? They said, yes. I said, okay, all right. Since it's a residential and the change of use is what I am now doing with it, I will have to provide for my tenant. And they say, okay, you have to provide with it. I said, very good. So I say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a clothesline from that corner out there and to that corner. Clothesline, clothesline?
Yes.
And you hang out the clothes and you blow it in the wind and so on and so forth.
Yes.
They say, oh, no, Mr. Bromfield, you cannot do that because that's Kingston. I say, you cannot tell me not to provide for my tenant. I want this place to be a change of use because I know what it is. I know where I'm at. I know I'm opposite King's House, But I have to provide for my tenants. So I'm going to put the clothesline like in rural Jamaica. Hang out your clothes in rural and you blow it in the wind. And by the Wednesday of the other week, I got a letter that they have granted me the change of use. So
How many rooms were there at the time? Was it
4
just land or
bedrooms.
it was a house, right?
Yes, it was a house.
Right,
4
so you had
bedroom.
4
It's a
bedrooms.
landmark. Really.
Yes.
It was a 4-bedroom house. It's now one of the largest conference centers you have in the city. And I would like to point out that Medallion Hall is not in Kingston. That's a problem that we have.
It is in St. Andrew.
It is in St. Andrew.
Yes.
And now St. Andrew always be the residential and the residential, while Kingston was the city.
Yes.
Kingston is the city and still remain the city, but Kingston also is a parish. What I am in disagreement with at recent time is that Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation. Now look at what we have done over the years, past years, is to name what we have built in Kingston, up in St. Andrew, New Kingston.
Yes.
So it lends itself to not giving sufficient attention to the city of Kingston. City of Kingston and city of Jamaica, capital of Jamaica.
Yes.
Kingston is the capital of Jamaica. So I would suggest for the thinking of those who have ears, is to separate the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, let them compete. Let the both parishes compete against each other. You cannot call New Kingston when the thing is New Kingston. Attention with the high-rise building and the this and they leave our city.
Yes,
now,
I understand.
You understand
Yes,
that?
I do.
Yes.
I understand
so if
what
you,
you're saying.
when people come to our country, visitors and business people, the first thing that they want, you can imagine that when you go to London, they want to see London, you want to see Paris, you want to see Washington. And when people come to this country, they want to see the capital of your country. Now, what we have in Kingston now as a showpiece is the Supreme Court. And the Bank of Jamaica, when you take people down to see the Supreme Court and the Bank of Jamaica, they are related.
Yes, and some of our churches, some of our historic churches are all located down
So
in
we have to remember
Kingston.
that.
Many of them.
We have to remember that Kingston is the capital of Jamaica, and Jamaica is the capital of the athletic world.
Indeed.
That's how I would have put it. And marketing is
But
useful.
so tell me about Medallion Hall. Market Medallion Hall to me. I mean, I've been to your conference center. I've used it before. But what are some of the other amenities? And why would I come to Medallion Hall? What is special? What distinguishes you?
Mm-hmm. We are sensitive to that. Service people. Success or failure of any organization depends on people. if you don't service people and service well. And that's why Medallion Hall is what it is. We survived the COVID, and that's history. We also have, when the Cuban passing through to other countries, that's where they stayed at Medallion Hall. One of the things that I would invite people to take a good look at, very good look at, is the Caribbean Cement Company and the Jamaica Flour Mill. They are stable. They are stable company. The Caribbean Cement Company, not much is said about this Caribbean Cement Company. But we talk about the backside. But Caribbean Cement Company is very, very stable at Rockfort. The flour mill factory at Rockfort is very stable. And what we are talking about and looking at is the stabilization of our democracy is stable. Very, very stable. Jamaica democracy is very, very stable.
Yes.
And we have to take a bow for that in what is taking place throughout the world.
How many rooms do you have at Medallion
At the
Hall
moment,
now? Yes, at the moment.
32, and I'm adding on 6 more.
32 and growing.
38.
And growing.
But we have more conference facilities, a lot of conference facility at the Medallion Hall Hotel, and high-profile conferences and so on and so forth. And we have a boardroom that, there are people who come and they have their meeting, and we do have a lounge. We have a license to sell what we want, named liquor and that kind of situation and forth and forth.
Well, I certainly want to congratulate you because I know Medallion Hall has been going for some time since, 1989?
Yes.
1989.
Honorable John Pinkler.
And yes, it was opened by the then Tourism Minister, Honorable John Pringle.
Yes.
And your staff speak very highly of you.
And,
and of your generosity
I
and how encouraging you are and just the positive outlook that you have. How do you remain so positive?
Well, you think that way, and you have to think positive. Negative is something that you spread your lip on. And for example, when the President of the United States, Barack Obama, came to Jamaica, that's where his staff his security stayed. Because he was going up to Bob Marley, a little above me.
Yes,
He was going up there. Then King's House is across from me. Then Jamaica House is nearby me. Then Via Royal is nearby me. So therefore, it's a part of the whole area of good. So that's why I would say St. Andrew, Kingston. Kingston is Kingston, and it ought to take its place. The Council of Kingston should be the Council of Kingston, and the Council of St. Andrew should be the Council of St. Andrew. And they look after their own thing, and they keep the area clean, and they do whatever is to be done.
I hear those strong views in respect of the municipality.
Yes.
And separation.
Yes. I think it should be separated. It's going to be a conversation, I can tell you, and it will work.
How do you feel presently, though, about Jamaica's tourism product? I know you probably have some sort of down the road look from your own perspective. What do you think?
Jamaica tourism product keeps our democracy alive. The statement that if you examine it is a truism. We accept people coming in, whether we buy business of all areas, whether you be there, whether da, whether they do, the color thing and the whole thing. We don't put yourself into that. That's not our concern. Our concern is how to treat people and treat people well. The idea is to treat people well. And I think our democracy, and we cannot lend itself and let that go unnoticed. Our democracy in Jamaica is safe and stable. Jamaica is a very stable country in which people can visit with ease. Yes, we have a little crisis here, a little crisis there, and so on and so forth, but we are dealing with it.
Yes.
And that is very critically important.
Now, I want to ask you, you mentioned it earlier on, you spoke about investing in land, buying land, and that the leaves that fall, the more leaves that fall, the fatter the land gets. Never heard it put quite that way before, but I understand you.
Yes.
So what kind of advice would you give to young entrepreneurs who want to get into tourism, who want to get into this industry that is so fascinating and that brings us a large percentage of our foreign exchange and creates so many jobs for people to earn a livelihood? What do you say to
There
that?
are many things to look at in terms of self-employment is very critical. A lot of us can understand. That's why I believe strongly in UTech, University of Technology. I would even want to believe that they could use Hope Gardens. UTech is now at a level where they need some more space. And I would use Hope Gardens. That is a trespass, I'm sure, but Hope Gardens, they're not very well used. And if you could allow UTech to expand itself by expansion, Hope Gardens, it would be a useful place. So you asked me a critical question, how do I encourage young people to get into? You have to think business, because tourism is business, but not only business but you have to give service to that business. That's why the Juta organization survive and never get mixed up in any kind of
Yes.
this and that. The fact that Portland, I again have to go back to Portland. When the 4 lane or the thing that is going to be the toll road is going to be opened into Portland from now on Manly, it is going to be a booster for both land. It's going to be getting very hard to get in Portland as we speak. And the development of Port Antonio Harbour is going to challenge, I can tell you, going to challenge Otorius, it's going to challenge Trelawney, it's going to challenge Montego Bay, it's going to challenge Hanover, Negril. It is going to, and they are going to come out very, very strong. And I would suggest to my Jamaicans, my people, our young people, to buy land in Portland.
Okay. Some great advice coming there. I certainly will delve some more and, just see what possibilities exist. But I do know that
Please.
space is such a beautiful
Better than
space.
putting money into the bank
Yes.
at 6% or 5%.
Finally, what inspires the Honourable Glen Bromfield?
I have a passion for that kind of exercise. I'm a Kiwanian, and therefore, it works to see people in a city. And the government transportation service, JETS, that government employees transportation service, I started it.
Yes, and you continue.
And it continues.
Yes.
And one of the fine points about that service is that people believe that the buses are mine. Are Bloomfield one. The company Bloomfield is
Yes.
Bloomfield. And but it's not mine. All I am doing is managing public funds. Managing public funds is very critical, very important, because I can't take the headlines and I always say this to people, Mr. Ronnie Thwaites, he will go into Parliament and say, Mr. Speaker, and Mr. Speaker was Mr. Pernell Charles, Honorable Pernell Charles. And you know who committed this offense? He said, no, Glen Bromfield. He said, what? That's what Mr. Charles would say to Ronnie. And then and Mr. Charles would say, you know something? Lock him up. And then Mr. Thwaites would say, oh, yes, I will carry out your instruction because I have that ready in my head, sir. And you know why they say I should lock him? Because I should know better. And that was the answer. I take a sense of humor in that kind of understanding that I serve them well. I have no connection to.
And nobody will be calling your name, or you won't be making any headlines.
I don't.
If the headlines, it's for something that's good and positive and wholesome.
Yes, positive. That's how it is.
Yes. Mr. Glen Bromfield, it has been a pleasure, and I want to wish you all the best. I know you're doing renovations and you're adding rooms to Medallion Hall Hotel, and I know that your concept of from straw to strawberries is something that has...
It's registered, yes.
Yes, registered and has kept you grounded.
Yes.
And that you have really been a blessing to many, many people.
That's what I've been told.
Both in your community, back in St. Elizabeth.
Back to school. I have a program, back to school program.
Yes.
Yes. And the Jamaica Civil Service Association has registered Jamaica Civil Service, the Glen Vincent Bromfield Jamaica Civil Service Association.
Yes.
I give big contribution to that organization for education because, sometimes these government workers, they find it very difficult to really handle things. And that public service that I'm giving with JETS, Government Employee Transportation Service, it started as a project. It's now a service. So Parliament has to make a budget for that service,
that
which
service.
I started as a project, is now a service. And I stand very proud, extremely proud,
Yes.
to know that I am the man behind that wheel and my staff.
All right. Thank you so much. From Barton St. Elizabeth.
Yes. That parish. is the
To the Medallion Hall Hotel and
Yes.
to many, many accolades later. He continues to serve the industry, to serve Jamaica,
Yes.
and we are so grateful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being my
for having
guest. It has been a pleasure.
Indeed.
And that's it for today's episode of Jamaica's Tourism Titans. Join us next time for another interesting personality, another interesting stalwart who has made yeoman contribution to Jamaica's tourism. Thank you so much for listening to Tourism Titans. We welcome your feedback at letusknow@tpdco.org. Leave us a comment, share, like, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at TPDCOJA. I'm Marline Stephenson Dalley. See you soon.